A controversial ruling in the final moments of a state championship race now getting a lot of attention online. A Mallard Creek relay team now was disqualified for a gesture at the end of the race. It's now sparking a debate. Was it taunting other runners or a celebration of a win?
Well, welcome To Be Honest. Don just showed a clip there of what we're going to be talking about today. The young man that we all feel was very unjustly disqualified from the track meet there at Mallard Creek High School. We're going to have a conversation. The whole country's been talking about this injustice that was done to this young man. We have a special guest today. Again, my name is Troy Russell, and we got Charles Mincy back with us here today, Greg Lewis, and Don Jones. Don, why don't you go ahead and introduce our special guests?
Well, first, I just want to say that, I have a lot of history with Mallard Creek as far as my kids going there too. My son actually was on that track team, and we know all the coaches and the players that are involved, and so that's why we felt compelled, to share the story, because there's been a lot of misconceptions going on out there, and I had the opportunity to speak to the head coach, and also I got connections over there, but one of the first people I called was Mr. Mallard Creek himself. I call him Quentin Brown. He's the guy that he's one of the big time boosters over there. He's one of those guys that really, cares about the kids and really comes in, and, his son played there, doing that state championship run. I think they won about 2 or 3 state championships. So he's been one of those guys that's really took the program under his wing to help the kids out, to help the coaches out. And because he really have a love for the kids over there, and he's very close to them. He also coaches them as well. So I wanted him to come on and kind of share, from his perspective, what happened, but also I wanted him to talk about the kid, Nyan Brown, because I want, I think the country should know what type of kid he is, and so everybody can know exactly what really happened, in that track meet. So Q, man, why don't you go ahead and just share, man, a little bit about your perspective of what happened, and kind of give us a summary of what you think of the overall situation.
So with my affiliation with the football team, of course, the track team outdoor, they practice at the same time that the football team. So I've established somewhat of a relationship with Nyan. He's just a really laid back kid, and he's just not a kid that would try and show up another kid. Just really, really laid back, not a very vocal kid, excellent student. And he's just one of those kids that you would want to mentor your younger son or kid. GPA, of course, a lot of people know he's committed to North Carolina State in track. And when people try to demagogue kids like that, it's just, he's just the total opposite. And the track team is just filled with kids with great GPAs, very low, laid back kids, not very vocal kids that you might find on some football teams. And he just goes through his day with track practice. I've had conversations with him because I've always tried to get track guys to play football. And that is where our relationship has come into play. And it's just amazing to me how they could even, I'm not a big track guy, but how they could even call any type of foul on the first initial penalty or whatever they said it was. I just didn't get it, because the kid just broke a 2007 record, and his 5th time, I think it was his that would have made their 5th championship in Mallard Creek. They won 2 indoor, 2 outdoor. And so when he was raising up his hand for 5, he was saying 5 state championships. They said something about he was showing a rear mirror, like, you guys are behind me. That's obsolete. The kid wouldn't even think of doing anything like that. And I just think I hope they win the appeal, and just in my past history with North Carolina, I'm not betting on it, but it's just an unfortunate situation that's happened with him.
Yeah, well, and I had a chance to talk to Coach Willoughby about exactly what from his perspective, I called him up because, like I said, my son ran for him for a couple of years. He was actually he ran that quarter. He was on the relay team, the regional champion relay team. So I have a relationship, and he basically told me that, that that wasn't just the only instance of occurrence of issues they had with the track officials. He told me that earlier in the day, they took second place from them. And they were saying they said it had something to do with a timing issue. They were like a 1/1000th of a second behind. So they basically gave another team second place. But they wound up reversing that though. And they also said that, they on another event, they were trying to say that the guy was doing something called hooking or something. And they were complaining. They were like harassing him almost through the whole entire time, right? And so it wasn't just that instance. And I asked them, so what was the motive behind a lot of these penalties and why they kept harassing the track athletes in Mallard Creek? And and I talked to a couple of other sources, and what I've heard, is that a lot of the people who are in charge of of running the track meet, the officials, they had a lot of ties to Jordan High School. And I was,
I heard that too. Yeah. And also too, some people try to make it, when I first heard it, I thought it was a racial issue or something like that. It sounded like it was a racial issue, but evidently the person that threw the flag was a black lady. and the people in charge were black people. So it's not a racial issue. I mean, for them to get, what I heard, they had ties to Jordan High School, Jordan High School, by the way, is the team that wound up winning in forfeit. They wound up winning the state championship. Did they have ties to that? I mean, can you guys you think can that be a complaint, or is that something that is not accurate? I do know that the Charlotte Observer put out numerous pictures of kids celebrating even more after they won specific events. So that goes into play. Also, I can't confirm this, but to my understanding, that one of the individuals on the appeals committee, the first appeals committee, was affiliated with Jordan High School, or used to be worked for Jordan High School at one time. So to me, it just seemed like it was personal. That's just my personal opinion. It just seemed like it was personal. With so many, I think the Charlotte Observer put out about 6 to 7 photos. And every time that Mallard Creek would state their case, it seemed like they would move the goalposts. They said, yeah, they celebrated, but they celebrated after they crossed the line. And it just came to the point to where they were passionate about not letting Mallard Creek off. They were, by any means necessary, we're not going to let you guys slide on this. And for what he did in comparison to some of the other winners, it just didn't match up. It didn't make any sense to me. That's just my personal opinion. But me knowing the young man pretty well, that kid's just not, it's not even in him. It's not even in his wheelhouse to try and show up anyone.
Yeah. For me, Don, for any rational person, it obviously appears to be personal. I mean, you don't, for me anyway, looking at it, you don't disqualify a kid and knowing that it's going to take the whole title away from the team for an act that wasn't overtly at someone else. Even if you look up the definition of the word taunting, it has to be, for me, it has to be directed at someone. It has to be an act where it's an intentional act of showing somebody up or trying to cause some kind of stir, trying to cause some kind of a conflict. He didn't point at anyone. He didn't say anything to anyone. He didn't direct it at anyone. So by definition, for me, there is no taunting. So for me, with any rational thought, that was just something that was calculated and done personally. I don't know if there's, like I said, I know you guys are they're looking into some kind of litigation. But for me, if it was my kid, I would spend every resource I have to try and litigate this, because to me, it's obvious what it was. Because to be to taunt, you have to be taunting, or you have to be trying to show someone up, and you have to be directing it at someone or something, and that's not what was happening in that picture.
Gotcha. Now, and another thing too, the coach Willoughby was telling me, he was saying that when they said that they actually said that they warned the young man prior in his first race. They said they warned him, and I asked the coach about that, and
I do want to get out there that he was not warned. I know that's the message that people want to say, well, if he was warned before, why did he do something again? He was never warned. He was never given a personal message to say, don't do this again, we're watching you.
He said that he brought Nyland over to the judge or to the track official, and Nyland said, I never talked to this woman before. No one never warned me or anything to that effect. I mean, is that something you guys heard too, Q? I mean, is that as far as the warning?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And one of the problems that I have too, from a lot of outsiders, people have said that this should be a great learning situation for him, or lesson for him. And I don't get the lesson. What did he learn? I mean, the kid broke a record in, I think, top 5 in the nation. And he celebrated, and internally he celebrated. I mean, he didn't go like the previous gentleman said, Mr. Lewis. He didn't go and get in anybody's face. He didn't jump up and down, or he just beat his chest. And then on the second situation, he held up 5 fingers for 5 state championships. That was it. So I mean,
yeah,
it seems like the people in charge, the judges, want to be bigger than the program and the initial state championship. It
sounds like they wanted to put Mallard Creek in their place.
Yep. Yep. So what are you saying? I know we just got Charles. I know you had some you had a couple of points of views from your angle. What would you see out of this, Chuck?
Man, there's a lot of places to go with this. My initial reaction was, hey man, people need to kind of, I wouldn't have thrown that, but I didn't care, because I see a lot of excessive celebrating in football. I see a lot of, how many times do you see a guy barely cross the end zone and drop the football and then cost the team a touchdown? How many times you see people do just dumb stuff, like the Seahawk dude almost cost them the Super Bowl doing stupid stuff. So I've run out of patience with a lot of just celebrating. It seems like in this era that people cannot wait to celebrate or to rub something in somebody's face, and so my initial reaction was, man, I don't care. Like that was my initial reaction. But seeing what really happened and transpired, I really feel like, man, that was more of a personal issue. That's where it seems to be like some people have certain sensitivities. And here's the deal, like, if I'm a kid playing basketball and I'm a high school kid and it's a basketball game and it's, 2 seconds on the clock, I get fouled and I got to sink these 2 free throws and I miss them. I got to live with that. Even as a high school kid, you got to live with that pressure. If I'm out there on the football field and I drop a pass and everybody's watching, you got to eat that. You get ran over out there, miss a tackle, you got to live with that. You strike out as a baseball player with the season on the line. Even as a kid, man, you have old people remembering things like that for the rest of their lives. So I feel like this lady who threw this flag needs to explain exactly what was going on. I know to some degree, the reasoning is, hey man, we protect referees, they kind of live in this anonymity, but hey man, you know what? You need to answer to that, because other people are taking risk. And if it's a personal issue, if you just out there on, I'm going to make things right, then you probably shouldn't be out there. You know, man, it's at the end of the day, it's kids out there. Like I said, man, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people acting a fool and doing things that could cost their team, a game. But in this particular circumstance, I felt like it was kind of over the top and super punitive, man. And you had to know what was on the line if you're in that arena.
Exactly.
If you're
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
system, you know what was on the line. And to throw that flag there means that it was kind of personal, man. I can't see it being any other way.
She knew. She knew what she was doing.
And like I said earlier, this thing made national news. I mean, we got Greg here from Seattle, Washington. He's the one that brought it to our attention, so to speak. So, Greg, what were you hearing from out there in the West Coast?
Yeah, lots. I've heard people speak on it from both sides. The sides that I think we're trying to actually walk away from right now. Several people, similar to what Chuck said, yes, that's a lesson that young men will learn now, that he shouldn't taunt, he shouldn't make fun of others, he shouldn't belittle people. And then others saying that, why have we gone so far that people can't celebrate, they can't express their joy of doing something that hasn't been done before, and all of those things, where I think the real story for me now, and I didn't catch the first part of what Coach Brown was sharing, but this is exactly what I think the point becomes for me. There are a lot of people out here making assessments and judgments, and they don't know the full story. They don't know the nuances. They don't know the things behind it. They don't know what personally could be involved in what actually occurred, but they're making these huge, I guess, rhetorical comments about this person is a bad person, or this person's a good person, or this has gone too far, or hasn't gone far enough. And frankly, we don't know the story. We don't know all the things behind it. One of my least favorite sports reporters that's out there right now made a little podcast segment that went out. And I won't say his name, but it rhymes with Basin Mitlock, about how he's glad this happened, and this is kid. And he was specifically saying black people go too far. This is what we do. And we go all overboard, when he certainly doesn't have any of the information that was just shared here today, and knows that there's potentially a judge who was at a rival school or affiliated with a rival school that might have had a personal agenda that made this. And so we make national headlines, like Troy just said, and make all of these points about, where people are and what their morals are. We frankly don't know enough information about the deal. Let's look at this. These are high school kids. These are kids who have a lifetime of seeing how people react, seeing how people respond, seeing how people judge, seeing how people blow things out of proportion and assign things. And Coach Brown, you are absolutely correct. This is something that's going to stick with this young man for the rest of his life. So he did learn a lesson. He learned that this world could be full of people who are full of, what? They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's happening, yet they're ready to indict. They're ready to, call people bad people and all of these things when they don't know what's going on. And some of it may go back to, have we put too much importance on sports in general, but especially back at the high school level? Are we assigning value to people based on them celebrating? And are we taking kids who are 16, 17 years old and indicting them when they're truly in the place of innocence and learning and wanting to enjoy what's happening in their lives? So I think we've put way too much emphasis when we frankly don't know what happened and all the facts about what's going on. And that says a lot about us. Everybody's so ready to prove a point that they're right, their side is right, their beliefs are right, that they'll take a situation like this, not knowing all the facts and what's happened, and chalk this is up one for our side. And so for people like Hitlock, I think it's ridiculous for him to do what he did and put that out there about this young man. And that's really what.
Well, that's who he is. Well, that's who he is, though.
Well, yeah, he's kind of a bum. I was gonna say this though, Greg. Like me and I said the same, and I think you said it, that we're giving whoever this person is, this lady or whoever it is that threw it, the benefit of the doubt that you are trying to make things right by being punitive. But she could have had some ulterior motives too. We're giving her the benefit of the doubt. She could have been trying to get over, you know what I'm saying? Or just
We're not
make
giving
things
that young
bad for
man the
them.
benefit of the doubt, though. We're
That's
not
the other
giving.
We're
part
not.
that we got to look at too, you know?
Mhm. And we're not giving that kid the benefit of the doubt. I heard Coach Brown said that that's not in his
Exactly.
DNA. That's not who he is. And again, someone like
Mhm.
Locke has impugned not only his character, but he's associated that with the entire black race. You know, this is what we do as black people. We overdo it. And, you know, I don't hear us assigning the values of one individual bad actor to the entirety of other races, regardless of what they do. So I think there's certainly some implications in this, but people are going to, you know, try to use things like this to prove their point when there's no point to
Yeah.
be proven here to me.
No, there's no point to be proven there. I mean, not at all. I mean, the video, we showed the video, Greg, before you joined,
I've seen it.
and you've seen it, and the video clearly shows what he did. So, and then it clearly shows when he immediately found out he was disqualified. So there is no room for any kind of, well, he may have did this, he may have did. It's obvious he put up 5 fingers, and he didn't say anything to anybody, or he didn't do anything to anybody before that. So for him to be disqualified for taunting, and like I was saying before, taunting has to be directed at someone. For it to be taunting, that did not happen. So you can try to spin it any way you want, as Shitlock said, and you can say whatever you want because that's who you are. But the video didn't lie. Men lie, women lie, but the video does not lie, and that young man did not taunt anyone. So for a flag to be thrown in that situation was obviously personal, because I don't think you can spin it any other way based on what the video showed.
Yeah, I think that part needs to be dug a little.
Let's take a look into
some kind of ulterior motive based on relationship or connection or something like that before there's any finality, because it came out so quickly. It was almost like people were waiting and hoping for something to happen and jumped on it immediately. So that makes
that
someone
part
like
right
me
there
wonder, like, wow, how did that happen so fast and in the moment? And should there be a scenario where we do try to make sure before we have a final decision on something that there's some reasonableness to the process and the thought, and the judges coming together, talking to the coaches, kind of, giving places space, especially since the ramifications of the final decision, do cause a real big shift from one team winning to the whole other team winning. So I think that's something that, we as people who are involved in sports and the game should create processes that are fair and give time for us to be reasonable.
That's an awesome thought. A fair appeal process should be had, and maybe an independent process should be had, not an appeal process to the very people who threw the flag in the first place. I don't see how that can go well for the young man, being that you're appealing to the people that threw the flag in the first place. So I'm sorry, Chuck. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is why I'm I'm a little jaded when it comes to high school sports, being in it so long and experiencing it. Kids experienced it, other kids I've coached have it, and so I'm kind of protective when it comes to people that are involved. And you have some people that, hey man, they're just not real competitors. Like, to be in it, to be a real competitor, you got to risk that, hey man, loss comes with this. And it just happens naturally. It's a meritocracy. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's the process. You got to love it. And some people not really about that life. Some people would lie, cheat, and steal to get a title or to have their favorable outcome, and you have people like that. And I'm not saying this person is exactly in that space, but we've all experienced it at the high school level, man. What you think? I remember playing in junior college, and we went to play a team, and they called an interception back on me. They called a 90-yard touchdown run by our fullback back. They called another 90-yard kickoff return back. They called a 3rd and 17 catch back. I mean, and everybody was wondering when we played at that school why they had like 4 years of not losing at home. Scoreboard went out. you know, and so these things happen, man, and a lot of times, you know, you can get away with it, but with the advent of the internet and social media now, Greg, you got the news before most of us even really was on it, you know, so it's harder to get away with now because there are more eyes watching. You know, it's hard to do
Yes.
these things that people just these real egregious things that you would just do and cheat and just run off the the field and it not be an issue. So what y'all feel about that, man? It just people just straight out cheating.
Yeah, I think the story which people tried to shape, and this is, I guess, what my point was. I was long-winded in trying to state it, though. The story on the surface was, should ask our kids going overboard in taunting and belittling and not showing good sportsmanship, and do the adults have the right to try to teach and show them by a penalty like that, to whether or not there's a lot of cheating, widespread cheating and dishonesty in sports, and trying to determine the outcome by any means other than who's the better player and who's the better team. I think that really is the story after having had a chance to talk to Coach Brown, hearing some of the points that you guys made that should really actually come out of this. And if there are ulterior motives, Chuck, to why teams win or how teams win or what have you, then why is society so ready to cheat and steal to win a game, whether it's at the high school or college levels? I won't go to NFL because maybe betting and all of that, who knows, but willing to do that at the real, danger of losing what true competition and being a competitor is. And then that goes back to our kids, especially not learning all the valuable lessons that they do get out of participating in sports and athletics and competition.
Yeah.
But and I want to say this
And
too.
one of my big
Go ahead,
concerns was they always tell you, like, this track team is not they're used to winning. They do it all the time. So they're basically doing what they do. So it's not like it was his first time winning in an event. So his reactions were similar to what he's always done. And they always say, act like you've been there before. And he act like he had been there before
5 times.
So I don't understand the problem how a team can go through a team can go through conference championship, regional championship, 4 years in a row, state championship, and all of a sudden he doesn't know how to win. He did something wrong. He celebrated the wrong way. I'm like, come on. No,
Man.
really. And me,
Man, I know.
I have the opportunity to actually interact with him on a regular basis, and knowing what type kid he is, you could not pay him to try and show up someone. It's just not it. It's not in his DNA. He's not going to do it. He's like, man, really, coach? So that's what is so crazy to me. And all of these people on the outside are passing judgment and they're almost just arguing just to be right and not listening to anything else. So I hope that they do the right thing.
Yeah, man. And let the kids have fun. I mean, because when I played, I was an emotional player. I played. I acted. Some people can say I acted a fool sometimes, but I was just being me. I was having fun. I wasn't trying to show anybody up. I was just because you put in the work. And your goal is you have goals to accomplish. And when you accomplish that goal, it's natural to let out a bunch of raw emotion, and that's all that kid was doing. Yeah. What you laughing at, Greg?
Well,
you laughing away?
Oh no, I agree with you. I was just thinking back, Don. First of all, your 4-foot bunny hop with your foot in the air, I would not consider that an overly emotional response to making a great play, because he did the same thing every time. A 4-foot bunny hop, like yeah. But really, what I was going to say, Don, in agreement with your point, it doesn't matter how you celebrate. Somebody is going to complain. I'm going to share this. This is personal for me. And you, Don, Chuck, you guys know when I played at the University of Washington and in the NFL, long before there was a Tim Tebow, Chuck would do a similar thing. I would drop down on one knee. I would bow my head and I would just give some gratitude to God for blessing me with the athletic ability. That was my opportunity after I scored a touchdown.
That was before Tebow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Long before that, I would just do that. And it was personal for me because that was the one moment in a game where I could say, Lord, it wasn't that you're helping me win and score touchdowns. It was that you blessed me with this ability that I can use to benefit my life. Well, I got hate mail for that. So it ain't even, whether you do this or whatever, somebody's going to find a way to complain. Somebody wrote me a letter that said, well, if you're such a Christian, you should care about other people. And when you're doing that, you're trying to force your religion on other people. That doesn't sound very Christian. And I just shook my head. So it doesn't matter, Coach Brown, whether this young man has that kind of bone in his body. He may do something that's so innocuous and so innocent. There's going to be somebody that's going to have a problem with it and find a way to complain, whether it's Don's 4-foot bunny hop with a fist pump, or me dropping to a knee silently just saying, God, thank you for this, or, somebody doing the icky shuffle or whatever. There's going to be somebody that finds a problem with what you do when you're celebrating, even if it's personal.
Right. Yeah.
That's the story, Chuck.
More than fair.
That should be the story. Yeah, that should be the story.
Chuck, I think that I'm sorry. Chuck, I think that when you ask the question of why, people do what they do, or why the officials do what they do, or why people want to win at all costs, I just truly believe it's a character flaw. I think people, in this day and age, in this age where everybody gets a trophy, everybody wants to win, no matter what. And I think that, earning it on the field of play, earning it with your play doesn't matter. I think as long as they can say that they won, a lot of people are just happy with being able to say that they won, whether they earned it or not. Jordan cannot, for Jordan to even be anywhere near happy about being state champions, it seemed like if I was Jordan, because, the kind of person I am, I would have stood up for Mallard Creek as Jordan's coach should have stood up for Mallard Creek and said, no, we didn't earn this. They are the state champions. They deserve this. But you got people, and I truly believe it's a character flaw in a lot of people, that they will take a win no matter what, and for Jordan to take this championship when they didn't earn it just shows me a lot about them.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I think that's a very, very valid point to bring up and to consider. Our unearned championships, real. I've seen sometimes, though. I remember in the Olympic boxing, there were several times, and I think Evander Holyfield might
Jones Jr.
where Evander Holyfield won a fight clearly, and they had given
Roy Jones was the worst one ever.
Yeah, but I'm saying the only reason why I bring up the Evander Holyfield one is because I think his opponent grabbed his hand and raised his hand up.
Yeah,
he really should have won this, and I didn't win. And to your point about character, that's what real competitors, Charles, like you talked about, or real individuals do. They stand up even against what might be in their favor, but they go, no. This is what really should have won. And so I'm going to stand on that. So I applaud people like that. And like you said,
absolutely,
Jordan, the track team at Jordan should probably join in with Mallard Creek and say, well, if you guys don't overrule this and we're officially champs, we're not going to even accept it. So there just won't be a state champ this year. There you go.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
That's a good point.
The kids, man, that would be, and whoever the governing body is needs.
Yeah.
And Troy, I've had discussions, piggybacking on what you said. I've had discussion with different coaches throughout Charlotte in different sports, and the sentiment was across the board: who would want to accept a championship trophy up under those circumstances?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have, me personally, I would have to. Yeah, you can have it. I don't want this. It's definitely going to be tainted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't earn it. In no stretch of the imagination did you earn it.
Yeah.
So why would you want something you didn't earn? Why would I want a medal in my home or a trophy? I go to Greg's house, or I go to Chuck's house, or I go to Don's house, and I see all their awards and all their accolades. They earned every last bit of that. But what would they say to their guests if I go into Greg's house and he has his Doak Walker Award and he won it because after the season, the second place running back got disqualified because he was maybe caught smoking weed or something like that, right? So they took it away from him and gave it to Greg. Greg wouldn't feel like he earned that. and that's kind of where we're at here. It's like you're giving somebody something, when you didn't earn it. So I don't, it's kind of, yeah. I've been burning up about this ever since I heard it. I mean, nonstop. I mean, this has really been the one incident in sports because I guess, being a former, coach, and, things happening to kids, upset me more than anything else. And that young man and them young men on that team put in so much work to get to where they're at, and to be able to stay on top for that long takes hard work. And then for their hard work to be taken from them simply because of somebody had some power is egregious to me. And I just really feel like somebody needs to pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
Coach Q, man,
you guys may have already
go
talked
ahead,
about
Greg.
this, but Coach Brown, is there continued appeals that are going on, and are we at final decision, or is there still an opportunity for this wrong to be righted?
So the last appeal is going on right now, and it's 30 days from what I understand. And it's an independent counsel along with the head athletic director of North Carolina High School Sports. So that's pretty much, and in speaking on Mallard Creek's track team, well, if they want to stop them, they're going to have to wait a long time because
they reload. They don't rebuild. They reload. Is that what you're saying, Coach?
They got a lot of ninth graders on that team that qualified for state. So, and same thing with girls. So get in line if you're a judge and you want to shut them down. It's going to be a long haul.
All right. So what they're going to be doing in football though next year, man? What's up with Mallard Creek next year, man?
Hey, man.
And I got to give a shout out to Coach Brown too, because there's nobody more responsible for helping these kids get in school, including my son. He without him, man, he's the guy that reaches out to the colleges and try to help these kids out. And he's doing it for basically nothing, for free, so shout out to you, Coach Brown, man.
Doing it for the love.
Doing that, man.
Yeah, thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. I want to thank you for coming on with us today. I know, sitting at this time of night, I know you down here with us, and it's 10:30 at night, so we don't want to keep you. But we thank you so much for spending your time with us, man, because we've been burning up. At least I have been burning up about this ever since it happened. And it feels good to be able to get a release and talk about it a little bit. And I feel a lot better just being able to, vent a little bit. And we appreciate you coming on with us and letting us do that.
I thank you guys for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Luck with everything
right.
In the future, Coach.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Well, this is To Be Honest. This is To Be Honest. We want to thank everybody for watching us today. Make sure you like and subscribe with us. Make sure you, make sure you give us some comments. Make sure you engage with our conversations. We like to know what you thought, what you think, whether you agree or disagree. We accept all comments. Just make sure you are respectful with it. But please come on and say what you got to say, and give us your feedback.